How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Samech, Daf 60 of Masechta Kiddushin. Friends. Friends. Friends, yesterday was a big daf. I haven't even edited it yet, so I don't even know how long it was. It may have been like an hour. But today hopefully it'll be a shorter daf because we already did a whole, at least half of Samech Umar Aleph, and we're just going to get to the Mishnah on Samech Umar Beis. We've kind of seen this sugya also before in Masechta Gittin, so hopefully it should be manageable. Alright, we're going to start the Mishnah on Daf Samech Umar Aleph. Let me know when you're ready. Alright. Let me know when you're ready. Okay. I'm just going to start. However, the Isha, Narab Mikudeshes Li, Amanasha Etin Loch Masayim Zuz. So if a fellow says to a fellow, you are Mikudeshes to me, under the condition, She'etin Loch Masayim Zuz, that I'll give you 200 Zuz. Wow, sounds like a good deal. However, Mikudeshes, she's Mikudeshes V'yetin. Okay, so, Mazel Tov, she's Mikudeshes. And, he just needs to give her the money, but that's not, they're already Mikudeshes. Now just make sure you give the money. Now, if he dies without ever having given the money, then she's not an almana. But, they're married. We saw this machlokas, Masechta Gittin. We're going to see it now as well. But Akoponim, the Mishnah says, right, Avez Mikudeshes, he's Mikudeshes V'yutin, he's got to give 200 zuz. Amnasha etein loch mikan v'ad lamed yom. If he says, you are Mikudeshes to me under the condition that I give you money within the next 30 days, so, Nosan lo b'soch shloshim Mikudeshes, if he gives her the money within 30 days, then she's Mikudeshes. V'im lamed Mikudeshes, if he doesn't, he gave himself a window within which he needs to pay her 200 zuz. If he didn't do that, if the window expired and he never paid her, so then there's no Kiddushin. As long as he pays her, there is Kiddushin. Amanas, sheyeshli mosayim zuz. Ho ho. So he says, Ariyah Mikudeshes li, under the condition that my net worth is at least 200 zuz. So Ariyah Mikudeshes v'yeshlo. So I don't know, whatever. That I guess he has 200 zuz in liquid assets. He has 200 zuz. He has a 200 zuz bill. Okay, so as long as he has it, so then the Mikudeshes. Amanas she'erich masayim zuz. On the condition that I show you a 200 zuz bill. So, the Mikudeshes, and he's got to show her that bill. Now, if he's like a money changer and he, shows, look, on my money table, I have 200 zuz. Sorry, dude, that's not going to cut it, because that's not necessarily your money. Alright, fine, what do you want me to tell you? Alright, what am I tell you? Says the Gemara, Itmar was stated, Rav Huna Amar Vihu Yiten, Rav Yehuda Amar Lichshe Yiten. So this machlokas in Masechta Gittin. Rav Huna says Vihu Yiten, meaning they are married from now. Now he just needs to make sure that he pays the money at some point, but they're married. Rav Yehuda Amar Lichshe Yiten. Rav Yehuda says no, they will be married when he pays up. If he's saying, so, when I give you 200 zuz, then we will be married. Not a second prior. Rav Huna Amar v'hu yitein tanoya have mikayim tanoya v'azil. Rav Huna says, it's a tonight. Okay, just make sure that you fulfill your condition. But you're already married. Just make sure you fulfill the condition. Rav Yehuda Amar l'chsha yitein l'chi yoyiv avu kiddushay hashta mio lo avu kiddushay. Rav Yehuda says, look, when he pays up, they'll be married. He has not yet paid up, they're not yet married. My benai, what's the nafkamine? Ike benai shapashtu yod v'kibla kiddushin me acher. The nafkamine is, if in the meantime, she accepts kiddushin from another fellow. The Rav Huna lo havu kiddushay. So according to Rav Huna, the second kiddushin is irrelevant. She's already married to the first guy. The Rav Yehuda avu kiddushay, whereas Rav Yehuda says that the second Kiddushin will be Kiddushin because she is not yet married to the first guy because he never paid up. V'tananami gabi gittin. We also say similarly by Masechta Gittin. Ki, or whatever, by Gittin. Ki hai gavna. Similarly. Ha'omer l'isha areza zagitech hamnashe titni li mosayim zuz. If a fellow says to a fellow says to his wife, that here is your get under the condition that you give me 200 zuz. Harezo migoreshes v'hititen. Okay, well, they're divorced from now, and she just needs to, at some point, pay 200 zuz. V'idma Rav Huna Amar says of Huna v'hititen. They're divorced now, and she just needs to give it. Rav Yehuda Amar lichshe titen. Rav Yehuda says no, they are not divorced until she pays. Once she pays the 200 zuz, then they're divorced. Rav Huna Amar v'hititen tanoya have mikame tanoya ve'azlo. So Rav Huna says that she just needs to pay the money, right? It's a condition, right? We're divorced. Make sure to pay me 200 zuz. She just needs to pay the 200 zuz, but they're already divorced from now. Rav Yehuda Amar lichshe titen yehiva le hudave gita ashtamia lo ave gita. Whereas Rav Yehuda says that when she pays the 200 zuz, then they will be divorced, but not before then. My benai, what's enough community? Niskarea haget or she'avad. Well, what if the get in the meantime gets torn up or it gets lost? Rav Huna avegita, according to Rav Huna, well, they were already divorced from the time that she received the get, even prior to paying. Rav Yehuda lo avegita, whereas Rav Yehuda says no, it is not a get because she wasn't divorced yet. She has to pay in order to be divorced, and she hasn't yet paid. The get is lost or torn up. There's no longer a get. They're not divorced. Utzricha, and we need to establish this machlokes both by Kiddushin as well as by Gittin. That Rav Huna says that it's effective immediately, and Rav Yehuda says it's effective upon payment received. If we only had the machlokes by Kiddushin, Rav Huna, it's by Kiddushin where Rav Huna says that it is effective immediately. Because Kiddushin is to bring her close to him, and he wants that. And therefore, when he says Amanas she'etin masayim zuz, he intends it to be a tanai, and that's effective immediately. Aval gerushin deleracha kakasi, but by divorce where he's distancing her, well, and he might want to give space in order to make amends. Ema modile Rav Yehuda, maybe he admits to Rav Yehuda and he agrees with Rav Yehuda that it would only be a get once she pays, and until then it's not yet a get. If we would only have by Gittin, behach Amar Rav Huna mishum deihu lo kosiv le limisba'a. If we would only have by Gittin, so I would say, okay, so Rav Huna says by Gittin that it's effective immediately because they're getting divorced. He has no problem asking, like, hey, make sure you pay up and following up. Aval hacha, but by Kiddushin, the ihi ksifala limisbai, where she may feel uncomfortable asking him for that money, right? He says, so she might be uncomfortable kind of following up on that and saying, hey, by the way, you have to pay me in order for it to be Kiddushin. Maybe Rav Huna would agree with Rav Yehuda that they're not married until he actually pays, because she otherwise might be feel uncomfortable asking for it. So tzricha, therefore, we need this machlokes to be both by Gittin as well as by Kiddushin. Meisvei, we have a kasha. Hare ze gitech amanas shetitni li masayim zuz. This is your get under the condition that you give me 200 zuz. Af al pi sheniskarea a get o she'ovad. Even though the get got torn up or it got lost, harezo migo reshes. She is still divorced. Ula'acher lo tinase, but still she should not get married to anybody else until she gives the 200 zuz. So we see that they are like Rav Huna, that she's already divorced from now, even though the document got torn up prior to her payment, they're still divorced. The Od Tanya, we have another brisa. Omar lo, if he says to Areza Gitech, Amnashe Titni li Masayim Zuz, this is your get under the condition that you give me 200 zuz. Vames, and she hasn't yet paid, and he dies. Well, okay, and he dies. So Nasna ein zkukul yavim. So if she had already paid prior to him dying, so it means that they were divorced, she paid, well then Yibum is not relevant. Lo Nasna zkukul yavim. Now says the Tanakama. Now if he died before receiving the money, well then, okay, she can't pay now, and therefore, she never paid, she can't pay now, they were never divorced, and therefore Yibum becomes a thing. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, no senes le'echov. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, look, no, she could still pay the brothers, or the aviv, or to the father, or the echov min hakrovim, or one of the relatives. He could pay the heirs. So Adkan lo plige ela demar sover, leave lo liyorsha, my sover, afilu liyorsha. So look, the machlokas between the Tanakama and Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel is simply, can she still pay after he's dead? Can she pay the heirs? The Tanakama says no. When he dies, that's the cutoff. Too late. She lost her window to pay. The divorce was dependent upon her paying. She never paid. Therefore, there was no divorce. Yibum is the thing. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, no, death is not the cutoff. She can always pay the heirs. And then if she pays the heirs, then she paid the 200 zuz, and it is a good divorce, in which case she would not have to do Yibum. So the machlokas is simply between the Tanakama and Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, that when he says, under the condition that you pay me, is it like the Tanakama says, you have to pay me, it doesn't apply to my heirs? Or is it like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says, that no, it could be me or my heirs? But Duchuli Ama Mia Tanoya Have. But everyone agrees that it's a Tanai, right? Meaning the Tanakama would agree that if theoretically it was like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel that you could pay after, right, you could pay the heirs, well, then she would be divorced and there would be no issue of Yibum, right? The issue isn't whether it's like Rav Huna or like Rav Yehuda. No, both Tanakama and Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel agree that it's like Rav Huna that she's divorced immediately. The thing is that she does still need to pay the 200 zuz. The only machlokas between the Tanakama and Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel is, did she lose the opportunity to pay the 200 zuz once he dies? Did she miss her chance? But everyone agrees that she's divorced, immediately, and she just needs to pay the 200 zuz like Rav Huna. So we have two examples, two brises that seem to be supporting Rav Huna that she's divorced immediately, not like Rav Yehuda Tiyuvta to Rav Yehuda. Amar lach Rav Yehuda will respond to you. Hamani Rebbe. These brises that say that she's divorced immediately, that's the opinion of Rebbe. That's the opinion of Rebbe, who says, does it say here? To Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rebbe, Kol Omer Amanas, Kol Omer Me'achshav Dami. Then anybody who says that whenever you have a condition, whenever you have Amanas, it's like Me'achshav. It's like you say Me'achshav Amanas, whatever. So therefore they're divorced immediately. However, Ufli Rabbanon Ole, Ve'ana Dami Rabbanon. But Rav Yehuda would argue, the rabbis argue on Rebbe and say that when you say Amanas, it's Lavdavka Me'achshav, and therefore they wouldn't yet be divorced. And says Rav Yehuda, I hold like the rabbis who argue on Rebbe. Gufa Amar Rav Huna Rebbe Kol Omer Amanas Kol Me'achshav Dami. So we just said that Rebbe says that when you say Amanas, it's like you're saying from now. It's the sugi that we saw in Masechet Gittin. Amar Reb Zeira, says Reb Zeira, Ki Havinon B'Bavel. Says Reb Zeira that when we were in Bavel, Hava Aminon, we said, Had Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rebbe, Kol Omer Amanas Kol Me'achshav Dami, Plige Rabbanon Ole. So Reb Zeira, who of course we know from Masechta Shabbos, I think we know from Masechta Shabbos, and from other places, I think, that he moved from Eretz Yisrael, from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. He made Aliyah. It was before Reb David Ben Gurion, so he wasn't a Tzioni, but he made Aliyah. Although no, Reb David Ben Gurion, he was an early Tzioni, but he wasn't the first. The first Betzim, I guess, was Reb Theodor Herzl, I imagine. Zionism is an Indian in the 19th century, I believe. This was before the 19th century. So in Bavel, they would say that the rabbis argued on Rebbe. However, kisalki lo'asam, when I made Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael, ashkichosu Reb Asi tiyosav v'ka'omer lo mishmed Rabbi Yechanan hakol modim, that no, everybody agrees. Ba'omer al-manas kol me'achshav dami. Everyone agrees that when you say al-manas, it's me'achshav, it's from now. Lo nechliku elo me'ayom ula'achar misa. The machlokas is simply in the context of when you say mehayom ula achar misa, in that particular phrasing ve'atana that we learn in the Brisa, mehayom ula achar misa get ve'enu get v'chachamim, that by mehayom ula achar misa the chachamim say it's a suffix if it's a get or not. Rabbi Omer calls a get, whereas Rabbi says that this would be considered a get. Rav Yehuda de Omar ba'almanas nami plige. Now Rav Yehuda says that no, that even just by tanais in general, the rabbis argue against Rebbe and say that it's not me'achshav. So ademiflige b'me'ayom ula'achar misa. So then why is the Brisa Davka arguing about almanas ula'achar misa? Niflige b'almanas, say by almanas in general, it's a machlokas. Lo diacha kocho. And for Tigmar, lo diacha koach de Rebbe b'me'ayom ula'achar misa nami hareze get. Well, it's to show you the extremity of Rebbe's opinion that even that me'ayom ula'achar misa still, right, where it's like unclear, is it from now or is it maybe a get la'achar misa? No, still he says that it's now. That's almanas. V'niflegei ba'almanas lo diacha koach de rabbanon. But why not argue by almanas in general to show the extremity of the rabbanon's opinion that even by almanas in general they say that it's not k'me'achshav still, right. We don't treat it like now. So koach detera adif. Well, it's much more interesting to teach Rebbe's opinion, which is a more lenient opinion, to say that even by me'ayom ula'achar misa is k'me'achshav dami, rather than to say the opinion of the chacham, which is a more stringent opinion that like even by almanas they're still unwilling to say that it means me'achshav. So that's a less interesting opinion. Koach detera adif. It's much more interesting for us to teach about things that are permitted rather than things that are not. If he says that I'll give you money within the next 30 days, and he doesn't, so then they're not mekudeshes. Pshita, it's obvious. Who I may have thought that it's not exactly a condition. Maybe he was just saying in order to kind of like create a deadline to keep things moving, but it wasn't a hard deadline. No, Kamashmalan, it is a hard deadline. You got to pay up within the 30-day window. So if he says on the condition that I have 200 zuz, so as long as he has 200 zuz, so then they're married. So we say, well, if he doesn't have 200 zuz, so then they're not married. But shouldn't we be concerned, right? What does the Mishnah say? So as long as he has it. But let's say he doesn't have it to show it. Shouldn't we be concerned that maybe somewhere else he has Masayim? Meaning, it says we're married under the condition that I have 200 zuz. But maybe I don't know. This morning I had to recently report someplace how much money I have, and then I realized this morning, wait, I forgot to report something else. People forget that they have like money in different places. So then, in this case, if he says I'm on the condition that I have a certain amount of money, and then he's like, dope, so then they're not married, and she's going to get married to somebody else. But then maybe he's going to realize, dope, I do have the money. Now what? So v'neichu shema yeshlo v'od tanya chashinan shema yeshlo. We also have a brayse that says we actually are concerned that maybe Taka has lo kasha b'kiddushay devadai or b'kiddushay safek. Well, it depends. If he says that Amanasa I have 200 zuz and he has 200 zuz, so then that's Kiddushay Vadai. And if he doesn't have 200 zuz, then it's definitely not Kiddushay Vadai. But when we say in the Brisa Chashinan, it means maybe they're married. It's Kiddushay Safek, and you have to get divorced from both people if they get, if she accepts Kesef Kiddushay from another person. Amanasha Erich Mosayim Zuz V'chulei. So he says on the condition that I'll show you 200 zuz. Tanalon is kabne el liros mishalo. When she says that she wants to see his 200 zuz, she wants to see his 200 zuz. Not that he should say, oh, look over there. There's 200 zuz lying on the floor. Or, oh, that guy is paying for something and he just took 200 zuz out of his wallet. How interesting. There's 200. No, she wants to see that he has 200 zuz. And if he's a money changer and he shows her on the table, look, you see, 200 zuz. So that doesn't work. No, isn't that obvious? It doesn't work. It's not his. But even if he has like a 50% stake in the deal, right? So he has interest in the deal, and it's worth a shavar pruta still, or whatever the amount is. Like even if technically, there's enough money in the deal for him to have it, but it's not entirely his, it doesn't work. You'd have to show that he has 200 zuz that belong to him, and just, I guess, more straightforward. Friends, that was the daf samach Masechta Kiddushin, much shorter than yesterday's daf. We discussed like some interesting sugyas that we learned in Masechta Gittin, right? But he says under Machlokes Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda. Rav Huna says that they're married now. Rav Yehuda says they're only married once he pays up, and we kind of looked into that sugya shtickle. Friends, that was daf samach Masechta Kiddushin. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.